Welcome ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to take a look at the Stamina Dragonknight two-hander build for the Summerset chapter. I do have a written guide on my website, link in the description below. In the first part of the video I want to go through the basics, and in the second part I will show you off the rotation and just explain a little bit more about the build in general, because this is a complete new build. Now, when we look at our stats, now this is with the weapon power pod active. Pretty decent, we have a lot of max stem, health is good, weapon damage is decent, and quite a lot of crit for a two-hander build. We're running the Lover Mundo Stone. You really want to make sure to run the Lover this patch, both in dungeons and trials, because we don't have a lot of penetration due to the change from Thunderflame and Nightmother's Gaze anymore. Buff food wise, I use the normal max health and max stem. Keep in mind, I'm running Vicious Serpent set at the moment, so this will do fine. However, if you run, for example, Berserking Warrior, then you might want to swap the Dubious Cameron Throne or the new Gold Food. Okay, very important. Just make sure to get some decent health amount. Race. Red Guard, like always, for PvE stem setups a must-have, because this Adrenaline Rush just helps so much. You also get 10% more max stem and recovery. In terms of a Vampire, you don't really need it for this setup, but if you want, you can be stage 2 to get the 10% stamina recovery, which can be helpful when you run Dubious Cameron Throne. As long as you have Vicious, you really don't need it, because you take extra fire damage. Gear wise, so now, there is a few possible setups. I do have 3 setups on my site, one with trial gear, one with only dungeon gear, and one beginner setup. Now this here is obviously the trial setup. We have Vicious Serpent set. Now why is this so good? First off, it gives us a lot of stats. We get access to Minor Slayer and reduces the cost of your stem abilities by 8%. When you kill an enemy, you restore 2150 stamina and gain Major Expedition. So in trash fights, you basically, you almost have full stem all the time. If you have seen the stream a while ago in Hell Ra, I basically almost had full stem during trash fights, and in boss fights it's also easy manageable as long as you have orbs. So this set is really good. We only front bar this set, so on the back bar this is not active. Now like I said, if you want, let me quickly check if I have something here. You can also run Berserking Warrior. This will technically give you more DPS, however the sustain will be a lot tougher. So if you're very experienced with sustain and so on, you might want to try out Berserking Warrior. But other than that, Vicious Serpent is the safe bet with this build. The second set, the Relican. Now whether it is perfect or imperfect doesn't really matter that much. This deals a lot of damage. This gives you like 6 to 7k DPS, the 5-piece bonus, so you really want to make sure to get that set. Like I said, I do have non-trial gear setups on my site. It's when we attack something, you see it's the whirly thing that goes around. And the Relican also procs Selene. That's the next cool thing about this. When you deal direct melee damage, you have a 50% chance to call on a Primal Spirit that blah 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 and deals a lot of damage. And this basically procs on cooldown, as long as we have Relican up and when we use abilities like Crushing Weapon and so on. This should give you between 2 and 3k DPS. If you would like more sustain, you can also run Stormfist, or for example, if you don't like Selene, you also could run Valley Breath. This, for now, I'm just running 3 Robust. You can change this to your liking. 3 Infused would probably be a little bit more damage, or like 2 Robust or Infused with 1 Bloodthirst is also an option, but I have to test more. Then you want to make sure to have a sword infused with a weapon damage enchantment. This will give you more DPS than, for example, a Nirnhound. I've tested that a lot on the PTS, and infused is a little bit better with a weapon damage enchantment on the front bar. Back bar, Maelstrom Bow, Nirnhound with poisoned. If you don't have a Melson bow, you could use the Master's bow, for example. Or you could, if you don't have any of those, you could use a vicious Serpent bow, and so on. It's all on my website. Champion points. 40, 44, 30, 56, then 66, 14. 47, 37, 49, 100, 17. 49, 49, 31, 81, 40. Now I do have a 300 CP setup on my site, and now what is really cool about this setup, first off, if you have 120 points here, when you activate block you gain a damage shield that absorbs 1.2k damage. That's not a lot. However, because we run the switching ability on the front bar now, when we block we get a 6.2k shield. So it's kind of, it's actually really nice. So you can really, when you time your block right, with this passive, the shield size is not big, but it's better than nothing, right? And it can happen every 10 seconds, so keep that in mind. And even if the other shield is active, you still get a 5k shield from the switching passive. Now we'll get to that in a second. Passives. Now all class passives basically. And you want the two-hander, bow passives. You want the medium armor passives, heavy armor, juggernaut. Now I currently, I forgot to mention that. So run 6 medium and 1 heavy. I simply did not have a heavy helmet yet, so that's why I run a light one. But 6 medium, 1 heavy will give you a little bit more max health, plus more resistances. But the reason why I run 6 heavy, 1 light is simply because I think 7 medium will drop your health too low, plus we get Undaunted 4%. That's the thing. In the end, you can decide what you want to run. And other than that, make sure to run full divines with stamina enchants. Here. Now, next thing, like I said, if you want to be a vampire, go for it. Fighter skill, you want all. Don't need switching abilities, you want all, and passives. You don't need necessarily all, but the concentrated barrier will really help you. With the 5k shield, Spell Aura will deal a little bit damage. Then Clairvoyance gives you the cost reduction, and that's free anyway. Because we're running Crushing Weapon instead of Wrecking Blow. Now why is that? Actually, let's go through the other passives first. You want the Undaunted passives, Racial passives, and then Medicinal use. Now, just some passives worth mentioning. Battle Roar, when you activate the ultimate, you gain a lot of stamina back, right? That really helps. Other than that, we don't really use anything here, so there's no point. I mean, you can use the thingies, but it's not it's not really necessary. But I usually list all class passives because you never know if you swap out the skill and then you might actually need it. Now, where was I? Okay, Crushing Weapon versus Wrecking Blow. So you see, Wrecking Blow 13.4k damage, Crushing Weapon 8.2k. It only costs 1850, whereas this costs 2100. This also gives you Empower, but it has a 1 second cast time. So overall, I found the Crushing Weapon to be better simply because you can refit more. It's a little bit cheaper, sure, we activate it more than Wrecking Blow. But like I said, I tested it out and you can sustain just well in a raid or in a dungeon with this. In a dungeon you sustain so well because there's so many trash mobs. Now if you would like Wrecking Blow, you can keep using this. But like I said, the Crushing Weapon is really nice because it gives you a shield, a small one. In tough situations, a 5k shield is better than a 0 shield. On top of that, this also heals you for 25% of the damage done. Okay? That's why I prefer this. Then now, abilities. Brawler. Deals a lot of damage, and now the thing is, you see every time I use this I get a 2k shield, and when I actually hit the target, 4.3k. For every additional target, I get the bigger and bigger shield. So you can basically get the 20k shield every time you use this. So you can mitigate most of the damage in trash fights, basically. Razor Cult drops. Must have. deals a lot of damage, and the reason why I have this on the front bar is because if you're running Vicious Serpent only on the front bar, this is a very expensive skill, so that's why I run it here. If you run Berserking Warrior, you can swap this around, because then you will get 3% more weapon damage on the front bar. Crushing Weapon, like I said, really nice ability. Reverse Slice. Your Execute. And that's why I like two-handers. They're really not far. They're like 2k on some other setups. Not even behind dual-wield setups anymore because of the two-hander change. And we have access to Execute, obviously, which most stem setups don't have, except for the dual-wield passives. Then this also has splash damage. Flames of the Oblivion. Deals a lot of damage, so you really want to make sure to have that. It is fire damage, but it's still, like, it scales off your weapon's damage. Flawless Dawnbreaker. We mostly have this here for the weapon damage, 5% from that. And we also get another 3% from the Slayer passive. Backbar. Endless Hail, obviously still very strong with combined with the Melson Bow. Rearming Trap. Gives you minor force and deals quite some nice damage. Poison Injection, like always, really nice damage over time effect, especially when the enemy is low. Noxious Breath helps in trash fights and it's just a nice dot. In single target fights you don't necessarily need to use this, but you can if you want. Expert Hunter, now this is just here to get 3% more weapon damage. Now, if you are not in a like fixed group, I recommend running Vigor here, so you have some healing abilities, apart from Crushing Weapon. Standard of Might, like always, very strong ultimate, buffs all your damage by 15% and so on. And it also reduces incoming damage. Now, did I forget to mention something? Yes, okay. Now, should you run a Master two-hander? So, a Master two-hander can be very freaking strong on trash fights, okay? So, if you want, you can run this on trash fights, but I do not recommend it on single target. I also tested out the Asylum two-hander, but I do think a full other 5-piece bonus is better. That's why I rather run this. So, either run Vicious or Berserking for single target, and for trash fights you can run the Master two-hander. If you still want to sustain from Vicious, you could just run Vicious 2 pieces here, so you still have the 5-piece bonus with the Master here. It's up to you. Like I always say, there's a lot of customizing options available. That's more or less it about the basic things. Now in terms of sustain or just the rotation. The rotation is fairly simple. It's pretty standard stem rotation. Like always, pre-buff with whatever you have. Drop the trap. Endless Hail. Poison Injection. Always light attack in between. Noxious. Weapon swap. Caltrops. And then you weave this. Now I forgot to remove one ability. Give me a sec. On single target fights, don't forget to slot the Venomous Claw. Because you don't need Brawler in single target fights. Yeah, that's what I forgot. I was like, I missed something. So yeah, that stuff. Always light attack in between. Apply the Claw. Caltrops. And then weave Crushing Weapons. Like 4 times. 5 times and then weapon swap. Repeat. The rotation is also on the website. Now, if you have to reapply something like Flames of the Oblivion or drop a standard, you can do 1 crushing weapon less. Okay? It's very important. Because that way you will not run out of, like, Endless Hail and stuff like that will not run out. Now to quickly showcase the rotation, I will do a separate video with a DPS test, otherwise target dummy humpers will QQ again. This is a build video, so I just will show the rotation. Now, the rotation is fairly basic. Like always, activate Flames of Oblivion before the fight starts, and you can find the rotation on my site as well. Then you always want to start off with Trap, light attack, hail, light attack, poison injection, light attack, the breath, weapon swap, light attack, claw, light attack, cult drops, 4 times the crushing weapon. If you have to reapply Flames of Oblivion, only do 3 crushing weapons. And then weapon swap again, light attack, trap, light attack, hail. And it basically already restarts. So to show you that in quick succession, looks like this. And so on. You see, my stamina is draining, but it's not a problem. In a raid you will have spears and bubbles, and like I said, I tested it, there is 0 sustain issues. With Vicious Serpent, that is, okay? And if you fall low on stam, like always, you can do a few heavy attacks. Then just do less crushing weapons and you will be good to go. You need to manage your resources. Now, you have seen sometimes I let the Flames of Oblivion fall off. It's not that big of a deal. I wouldn't reapply it before it runs out. So when it runs out on the back bar, just keep following your rotation, and once you actually get back to crushing weapon, you can reapply it. That will kind of simplify the rota, I guess. That's more or less already. Just keep in mind when you hit like 25 to 30%, you can start using reverse slice. I'm not sure if I saved the metrics parse from yesterday. Yeah, here you can see like 42k with this setup, and it's not even optimized for target dummy. So we probably could even hit higher. But I will do a separate like specific target dummy video on that, like always. Now if you do have any questions, ask me in the comment section below, please. Do not forget to subscribe and hit that juicy like button. Thanks for watching and have an amazing day. Cheers.